Hello everybody, this is Adrian from AutoBuzz.my and you join me here at Proton Centre of Excellence in Shah Alam for the facelifted Proton Persona and Iriz Media Drive. Now this is the first time we get to sample these two cars on the public highway. The last time we drove them was prior to the official launch at Proton's private test track. Now since that both cars have been launched, Proton has arranged this little test drive session for us to take these two cars from here, Shah Alam, all the way to Tanjung Jaya in Terengganu. Hey guys, we're starting off the day in the facelifted Proton Iriz. This is the 1.6 premium variant, the most expensive one, comes with all the bells and whistles and the 1.6 litre engine. We're now in a place just after Lanchang. Through the bends, the Iriz has always been a good handling car in its segment. Probably the best handling car in the segment, and that speaks volume of the car. And the facelifted one is no different, just that all the small improvements, well, I say small, but it's actually over 300 new components in the car, has really enhanced not just the driving experience of the car but also the refinement, the features, all the touch points in here, and just overall makes it a lot better car to drive. So the only issue I had with the pre-facelift Iriz, after spending almost 2,000 kilometers in the car with Eugene in our Cars of Malaysia tour, the touch points and just the overall feel, how it makes you feel, it's a little bit lacking. So the car is a little bit noisy, the transmission whine is a bit loud, the features is a little bit dated, the screen is just difficult to use. But here, in this facelifted one, all these have been vastly improved. So the insulation, for example, it's a lot better compared to before. Cabin refinement has greatly improved. So you get very minimal wind noise even at triple digit speeds. So just now we were going quite quickly and it's really kept at a minimal. I've driven the Proton Iriz, Mazda 2, Honda Jazz, Yaris, all these cars in the same segment, whether national or non-national. The Iriz is actually right up there. It's really right up there. It's very refined, and the transmission has also been greatly improved for not just throttle response but also for NVH levels. So even though I do this noise you hear is actually a lot quieter compared to before. I don't have the numbers by how many decibels, but it's a lot more acceptable. It's just like your regular engine revving. Nothing sounds stressed, nothing sounds too, just that kind of feeling. This is perfectly acceptable and it's a lot better. When you're not gunning it, you're not pushing it, silence. I'm doing about 60 kilometers per hour in this nice little back road, just below 2000 RPM. You don't even hear the transmission working, really. I'm accelerating 3000 RPM, not much noise. And this is what makes the facelifted Iriz so much more appealing to not just buyers but just everyone in general. Proton has always been a little bit weak on the product desirability. You don't want to, not everybody wants to be seen or wants to aspire to buy a Proton, but this one really changes the game up. It's a car that you want. It's not just a car that, just because it's a little bit more affordable and then you went for this option just because that. No, this is a product that you want to be in. It handles well. The amount of features in here is great. The touch point of the cabin and the cabin refresh layout, it looks really good. It makes you feel good. You're happy being behind the wheel of one. Overall, at this price point, in the region of 50 over 1,000 ringgit, the Iriz has really upped its game. Other things that are new in here that I really like is this new instrument cluster. The font is clear, the brightness is just spot on, and this new 7-inch touchscreen infotainment system with a GKUI based system taken straight out from the X70 is fantastic to use. Response is sharp, user interface is clear, it even gets the high Proton voice command. Leather wrapped steering wheel with red stitching, very sporty. New gear lever that's exclusive to the 1.6 litre premium variant with red stitching as well. I really like this. It just feels right, it feels good. Build quality has vastly improved, honestly. in here. It's a cabin that, you know, I'm very comfortable and I wouldn't mind being in this every day. But what is also important is that I didn't really get to test out and try out at the test track at an enclosed space is on the open roads. This is where you really feel the build quality of the car. You know, road undulations is quite bad. I'm on some rough roads. None of that rattling, none of that loose panel things going on. It's just a little bit, but it's really, really impressive compared to the pre-facelift one. I was just in that car just yesterday, and that was, compared to this, unbearable. This is what you want. Now, in the real world, the driving experience of the Iriz is, needless to say, fantastic. The suspension is really, really sophisticated compared to rivals of its segment, even non-national rivals at that. The suspension just irons out undulations very well, and the road holding capabilities of this little hatchback, well, if you have driven one on a beautiful back road like this, you will know what I'm talking about. The steering is direct, body roll is minimal, the chassis is really stiff, and it just really composed around the bends and holds its line very, very well. And now with the updated transmission and powertrain, you get a sharper response coming out of a corner. It just elevates the driving experience that much more. Plus an insulated cabin. This is something that you can enjoy, not just doing highway miles, but also when you turn off to a back tight and twisty road. Oh yeah, this is what I'm talking about. So I had a bit of a tyre issue. It wasn't a puncture, it wasn't a flat, it wasn't a blow or anything. Just suddenly when I was traveling at an undisclosed speed, the tyre just deflated. It just went zero pressure. So I wasn't recording or anything. I was just traveling on the fast lane on LPT 2. Suddenly the tyre just deflated. I feel the steering pulling to one side, slowed down, pull to the emergency lane, and got onto the car, realized that the tyre was completely flat. You know, part and parcel of driving outstation, I guess. So another tip for you guys is when you experience a tyre issue, whether is it a leak or a loss of pressure on either side of whatever, mine was on the front driver's side wheel. So the moment when a tyre goes flat, the car will pull into that direction. So in my case, it pulled to the right. So what you have to remember is, do not jam on the brakes. The moment you jam on the brakes, you will have differential in speed between your outer wheel and the blown wheel, the blown tyre wheel. And when that happens, you will start sliding and going onto one side and just create a mess. So what you have to do is just gradually slow down, immediately lift off the throttle, because the tyres are reinforced with those kind of metal nylons and stuff, so it will not disintegrate immediately and kill you. So you can still pull to one side safely. I was going quite quickly, but I still gently on the brakes and pull to one side. Immediately notice the surroundings, pull to one side, and come to a complete stop. There's no go slow or anything like that. Pull to a complete stop. That's what the emergency lanes are for. Pull to a complete stop, get down and check and see what happened. And so right now we are cruising at 80 kilometers per hour because we're on the space saver spare wheel. Also commendable, I have to say that Proton's right-hand handling played a part in having the situation to be a very smooth affair, because the chassis is good, the suspension is great, so it will not unsettle the car very quickly. So it just gently and very calmly pull to one side and all that. Alright, so let me just show you what happened. This is the spare wheel that they fitted onto the car. Fitted the wheel back here. So we did a very quick inspection just now. There's no nails, there's no cuts, nothing like that. It's just suddenly the wheel just lost pressure. Fortunately, nothing happened. We're all still in one piece. The car is perfectly fine. So we're now switching over from the Iriz over to the X70. Feel very comfortable. Right now we're hopping into the Persona, the 1.6 Persona premium variant. So like the Iris earlier, it gets all the bells and whistles, new instrument cluster, new touchscreen infotainment system with GKUI voice command, frameless rear view mirror. Only some little differences between this one and the Iris is the Iris has a sportier appeal, so it gets like red stitching and black headliner. So this one gets a more subdued one, a regular beige headliner, which is nice. No red stitching on the steering wheel, but still gets stitching. The seats has a little bit of a different design, also fabric with leather sort of combination. So one thing I noticed is this. All the refinements of the Iris is also present on the Persona. It's quiet, it's comfortable, the throttle is a lot more responsive. So on real world conditions like real world driving in stop-go traffic, fantastic, really refined, really smooth, and it's not as tiring as before where you gotta like throttle and then you get lurched forward. This is very direct, very linear, very comfortable. Other than that, the Persona and the Iris is essentially the same car with a little bit of a longer length because of the boot, but it affects the dynamics of the car a little bit. So this one feels a little bit, you're carrying a little bit more length, a little bit longer, a little bit more weight. But other than that, it still handles fantastically well. Road holding capabilities is good. Steering is also sharp, not very direct, but sharp. Overall, a really, really good package for the family. But now that I want to cover on some of the not so good points about the facelifted Iris and Persona. On the instrument cluster, the fuel gauge and the water temperature gauge, the illumination is not as clear as I would like. You can set the brightness settings and all that, but in its maximum settings, not as clear as it can be a bit vague. Like you're looking, is it full tank or is it not full tank? So that can be a little bit vague. Other than that, you don't get telescopic adjustment for reach. Not a problem to a lot of people again, but personally I feel that cars in this kind of segment at this day and age should come with telescopic adjustments, which really helps with driving position. But the Iris and Persona's driving position is pretty alright. It reaches close to you enough where you get a comfortable grip. I forgot to mention what happened to the Iris earlier, the blue color Iris that I was driving earlier. So what happened was there wasn't a puncture, there wasn't a stones or anything that ruptured the tire or destroyed the tire. It's just a very slow leak. There was a hole in the tire that's already present. There's no nail or anything, it's just a very uniform hole. They took it to a Proton dealer and they checked out what happened was they suspect a tire manufacturing defect. So these tires are running on Silverstones, in case you need that information. A little defect which caused the tire to gradually lose pressure, and the sudden drop of pressure really lost because we were going at quite a decent pace, which results in the tire to lose pressure really quickly, and yeah, that little incident. Alright, now just to wrap up the video, I think that what Proton has done with the facelifted Iris and Persona is remarkable. They have put these two cars right up there with not just national competitors but also non-national models. It really says a lot because with their new partner Geely on board, they want to revive and revitalize Proton as a global brand, and with this two products and see what kind of iterations they can do with the cars is amazing. So it really shows that Proton has what it takes to be a global player and create a really worldwide quality, high standards products, especially in the case of the X70, in the case of existing models such as the Iris and Persona. So if this is what Proton and its new partner Geely can give to the consumers, updating what essentially is a 5-6-year-old product to be this competitive, I guess we do have lots to look forward to for future Proton models. Not just brand new, all new models, but also with their current lineup. So yeah, we're now just gonna cruise our way along to Tanjung Jaya, and that wraps up my real world driving impressions of the facelifted Iris and Persona. As always, thanks for watching. My name's Adrian, and I'll see you guys in the next one.